Greetings and welcome to Southern California, Placentia, California to be exact, and the headquarters of Convene. My name is Mark Ottestad, and I am a partner at Convene, and I'm in charge of business development, which is really all about chair selection. It's about finding leaders for Convene teams nationally, and in there I get to be a part and parcel to group marketing, launching teams. My background is I've been a member of Convene for a long time. I started as the president of Pro Sound and Stage Lighting, and this is the best work I've ever done. And I'm honored to chat with you for a second about who Convene is and the possibility that we might be great partners together. So most individuals that I interface with are at a life crossroads. Should I start a new business? Often they've just sold a business and they're trying to figure out what's next. The idea of leadership and what their role might look like, maybe 501c3 work. Often people I work with are doing consulting or starting consulting, and most are fearful that they might have to go find a job. But this is really about considering mentoring Christian CEOs, impacting business leaders, owners, towards a closer connection to God through their business journey. So I want to invite you to consider Convene. Our mission at Convene, this is the 30,000-foot view, and it should certainly just be a magnet for you to connect, equip, and inspire Christian CEOs and business owners to grow exceptional businesses and become high-impact leaders to honor God. The vision is to transform lives and businesses globally for God's glory. So that's the invitation, and behind that are the values that lead us day by day. We call it Saga, a narrative or legend of heroic exploits, servant-hearted, authentic growers anchored in God's Word. If those are your values, Convene might be the right place for you. So the next 30 minutes, the times are on the side, so when you step into this, if there's a place where you have a question, hopefully that makes that easy. We're going to talk about who Convene is, members, chairs, time commitment, what it looks like for you, and what next steps look like if this is something that you'd like to take a deeper dive. Our history is we were birthed out of Saddleback Church, where those two names at the bottom, Brian Thatcher and Rick Green, put their heads together as part of the purpose-driven journey and said, how might we impact Christian CEOs, presidents, and business owners? Rick was part of Vistage, and Brian was a Navigator guy. The Vistage model was excellent, but it was missing the most important part, that all things are about God. And so would we put Christ at the center of leadership? Would we lean into one-to-one coaching and the power of a peer group, looking to Christ as our leader? So that's the Convene beginning. Today, we have this amazing platform of influence. We have members, over 500 members, doing over $7 billion in revenue and 38,000 employees. There's just lots going on, and it's an invitation into a most attractive group of leaders that are humble enough to try and figure out how do I run my business more effectively, grow my leadership, and how might I connect closer to my Lord and Savior. The call is this unique community, right? It's this unique community of living similar lives, facing similar challenges. Wise counsel change lives. It's this intersection of safety and competence, where you have lots of safe environments where there is a lack of competence, and we have lots of places where we're around really smart people, but it's not very safe. And Convene allows both of those to intersect. And it's this journey towards industry-leading performance and purpose. And if you're going to be an industry leader, you have to know how your industry is performing and where you are and what the gap is and where you're trying to go, but that should all be driven by purpose. So this is a great visual invitation to our member candidates. Certainly would be appropriate to have this invitation for you as well. Do you seek to develop insight, wisdom? Do you seek to grow in all areas of your life? Is impact something that you want to be intentional about and those pieces lead to our legacy. So I want to start with who the members are, because this is certainly a very important part of the question, because I would always say to a chair candidate, will the members let you into their lives? It's a key question that you have to consider. And so our members, these are high-performing CEOs, presidents, business owners. This is for really primarily small-cap companies. It's $1 million to $20 million in revenue is 75% of our target market. And they're certainly dealing with this question of, do I have what it takes? I do have this challenge. I'm in an epic battle, and I'm trying to be better at leadership. So if you look at this from an age perspective and a revenue perspective, so we serve leaders in their 40s and 50s primarily, some a little younger, some a little older. That revenue for the membership is, between 3 to 12, 15 million in revenue. We have a couple of people doing $1 billion, but the main heart of what we do is organizational development in that $5 to $12 million space. This is the two offerings that we have that we serve. The forum is a full-day model, 90-minute one-to-one, speakers quarterly. Those are the rates. You can look at those, $995 under 20 million, $1195 to $1395. Genesis is a half-day model. This is for more service-centric organizations, less organizational development there. A 1-hour one-to-one half-day board meeting, and there's the costs for that. So we know that all these individuals are facing difficulties, and what makes this thing work is where I started before. It's similar lives, similar challenges. The challenges are people challenges, blind spots, profitable growth, complexity, and faith integration. These are the places that our members are trying to navigate, and we are a tool to help them navigate those by the practices of what Convene does. So it's a peer environment, it's coaching, it's connecting them individually to each other and connecting them to resources to help them grow their leadership capacity and ability. So what we're going to address over these next couple minutes is what a chair does. And primarily the question is Convene the right tool for you? And then how do I get a team up and going? So we'll kind of step into that right now, and off we go. So who are the chairs? And this is a community that I've been privileged to be a part of for over a decade now. Just an amazing group of individuals that seek to serve others. And as we serve the Lord, we often experience, gosh, I'm getting a whole lot more out of it than I'm giving. It's one of those God equations, and that happens for the chairs all the time. So the chairs for sure are business generalists. Our vocabulary, our language is business. It's who stays, who goes, what do I keep doing, what do I stop doing? What happens in the finance of my company? What happens in the people part of my company? You certainly need to be able to speak and understand the language of business. You need to be spiritually mature. You need to have the spiritual disciplines, the personal disciplines, and have wrestled with biblical ideas in a way that you can be with somebody on that journey. So whether that's about freedom or tithing or forgiveness or sanctification, we could list them all. You certainly don't have to be a theologian, but you certainly have to have been in a relationship with God and wrestled with Him as to what these things mean. Facilitation is certainly a big part of what we do. A one-to-one practitioner is a reality. It's the core of who we are, or who the chairs are. You have to be able to influence people towards this idea. This is an intangible discretionary sale. It's this idea of wise counsel, and you have to be able to influence people towards that. The salesmanship part would be you have to see the people. So you have to be courageous enough to put an idea out in front of a number of people and allow them to say no or to move closer to you. 60% of our leaders today run one team. It's kind of a portfolio style life, which is really more where we're moving towards. 40% run multiple groups. I have a couple guys running 4 groups, which is amazing. I think 3 is a really nice tempo. 2 is pretty easy. but again, most do one. But they're all excited about the opportunity to lead leaders, to be in the game with high-capacity people that are trying to understand how do I do a better job of influencing people in my life to be more of who God made them to be. Ideal outcome for sure, how do we help chairs have a solid six-figure income, impacting 30 to 40 Christian CEOs in different ways? That's what we do. So let's look at what one team looks like. One team looks like about 8 days a month. With a full team, you can generate $100,000 in income. If you have a small team, you would have more time selling down the bottom there, right? You'd have 2 or 3 days of selling, and you'd only have 2 or 3 days of coaching. But if you were to look at 12 to 15 members, 3 to 4 days of coaching, a couple of days of administration, preparing, a day for the forum, and a day to have a cup of coffee, which looks like 6 or 7 Starbucks or lunches as you continue to lift the flag of Convene in your marketplace. So this is what a chair's life looks like. So the important part to understand is that the majority of the work is coaching. The majority of the work is one-to-one, which creates the content for the forum day. And you certainly have some prep work and other ideas on both sides of that, but the core of what we do is coaching. So let's first start by looking at the forum day. So this is really a very exciting day, happens once a month, normally on the same day of the month every month. So it's the third Thursday, second Wednesday, and it's this idea of wise counsel, applying biblical principles, business as ministry, getting things in writing, really wrestling with the most important challenges, and really learning from one another as we navigate what's going on in the organization. So this is another pie chart. Now we're looking at what a forum day looks like. So a forum day, half the day is working business challenges. You surface them through the one-to-one. Usually a challenge will be a half an hour on the short side, hour and a half on the long side. You usually do about 4 in a day. The blue pie on the right-hand side is content. So content is a devotion, which is usually about a half an hour, and then a best business practices piece that takes about an hour and a half. So it could be how to hire, how to fire, how to market better, how to execute in some part of your organization or plan for it. The bottom right-hand side is this whole idea of connectivity. There's 2 pieces. We certainly eat lunch during the day, and we get to share our stories about life. And then we certainly have an accountability session, which is normally an hour. I call it the 5-minute drill. So 5 minutes of show us your financials, tell us what you've been working on lately, and tell us what your main goals are going forward. So that's a forum day, and the chair's role is to keep this thing going, keep it really energetic, have great content, laugh, live life together by wrestling with leadership. To kind of take us back to that Convene content piece, we follow the Peter Drucker line of thinking. What's the most important thing to do, and am I doing it well? So each one of these is represented, multiple content pieces in the different categories. So if your team needs more work on marketing, you could just go to our content library and do marketing. If you want to do more on sales, you could do sales. If you want to do mission vision, you could do that. So there's a really robust inventory, and some of it's video, lots of different resources to help you stimulate conversation and really look at reality. I did describe that the largest portion of the day, represented by that red circle up there, right, this is half the day, we're still in the forum day, is working opportunities. So usually, like I say, 2 would be a small day of opportunities, 6 would be a large day of opportunities, and this is kind of a classic track that the team would run on. Member would state his challenge, her challenge, or opportunity. The team would ask questions around it to get understanding. And this is where we differ from the world, right? So as we address a particular challenge, before we offer solutions, we want to explore God's Word. Well, what does God teach us about this particular issue? Could we open our Bibles and take a look? So this is a most rich time, which is amazing. It happens in 5 to 10 minutes, but it anchors this whole reality that God is intimately involved in everything we do. And if we seek God in the process, he has much to offer if we're open to looking and listening and seeking. And then that rolls into solutions, which is a brainstorming session. Here's lots of different ideas for the member to receive back from his peer group, her peer group, all the ideas that might be really impactful in solving, in moving that particular challenge opportunity forward. When that's done, the member shares their insights and holds up a flag of accountability and says, "This is what I'm going to do," and commits to reporting back. Most of these things are strategic in nature, so they're going to be things we track for the next 6 months as we move towards the best solution for our organization. In this time, in the Forum Day, we also have a speakers bureau once a quarter, speakers that you decide as the chair who is best for your team. It's part of Convene's offering to you. We pay for them to get there. We pay for their flight and room and board, and then they show up and spend 3 hours, usually in the morning, and the goal is to stimulate thinking, to brainstorm, to hear the best ideas in the marketplace to help the Convene member move forward. And then really maybe the most important part of the piece is the accountability piece. Our members want to get things done. They want to move forward in their leadership. So part of that 5-minute drill I was talking about, 12 members, 5 minutes each, is update on past issues, financial reporting, prayer requests. It's a very rich time of the forum. All this is about sharing life. It's about the whole person. Certainly, we focus on the business, but there's family, there's hobbies, there's vacation, there's just the richness of getting an opportunity to do life together. This is our Forum Day. This happens once a month. I'll kind of go back to that original slide. There it is, coming together, life on life over time with truth. Life is the life of a business owner. Truth is God's word. He says we should be in community, and Convene is this wonderful, unique community that you could lead, that you could be the facilitator of some really bright people trying to move things forward. The next part of the chair's role is all about the one-to-one. And I think I mentioned earlier, the one-to-one is really the core of what we do, because your role is to help the member recognize their limiting beliefs in their roles of leadership, in their roles of life. So you show up once a month and you spend 90 minutes, an hour examining bottlenecks, talking through the challenges of life, getting light on the biggest challenges. There's certainly accountability here, but it is most members have a list of, give me a number, 50, 100 long. There's lots, and your role is to help them prioritize those and understand what is the most important thing to take care of. And if we can take care of those things, we find that we help our members discover there is enough time to live life, that they don't have to be a slave to what they do, that they can be in what they do with excellence and experience freedom, which is the call. So this is certainly, where we're seeing the greatest change in the Convene journey. So I certainly want to highlight that one-to-one coaching in the Convene model looks identical to one-to-one coaching. The difference would be is that you'd often take, in the Convene model, the ideas to the team to do brainstorming. But often the members know themselves what to do. And so we're seeing lots of chairs now move towards coaching practices to run alongside. So the typical coaching practice today for Convene chairs looks like 10, 12 clients, a couple times a month, $350 a session. I do have one chair charging $700, a few charging over $500, but many in this $250 to $350 area, and certainly a place where you're seeing the business marketplace recognize there is great value in these kind of relationships to help them move forward. And so I would certainly encourage you to think that through. This is really the new Convene, which we call Life of the Leader. that represents really the member and different ways that we want to be engaged with the member. And so all of the circles above that potentially have a connection to you as the chair. Obviously, the classic is what we call forum teams. It would include both the coaching and the forum. As you move to the left, what I just spoke about, the coaching element, where there may be people that are not part of your team that see the benefit of coaching, that you connect with well, that you can create a coaching practice. Simultaneously, all the way to the left, we're talking about consulting. There are industry-specific best of practice providers, and that may either be you, or you may benefit by referring one of your members to somebody. So it could be, gosh, a great marketing consultant, a great HR consultant, a great IT consultant. So we are building a very robust world of consultants to connect our membership to move them forward faster. To the right is this whole idea of tools and executive facilitation, which looks like often half-day or one-day processing pieces where the member or your coaching client says, would you come in and help me with my executive team to kind of move this initiative forward, that we get clarity. And referrals are a part of this. So this is really the vision for the future of Convene, which is how do we, as an organization, arm you, wherever you are in the nation, to provide the tools and resources to the leaders in your area. So we invite you into that. This is really just such an exciting time at Convene as we live this life of building a trusted community of CEOs and owners, I love this word, that propel each other into industry-leading performance and purpose. And this happens by seeking to understand it. It happens by CEOs going to get their answers questioned. Most CEOs are making lots of decisions every day, and having someone to really reflect on those and maybe adjust it a little to the left or the right is really important. So we certainly recognize that our CEOs, so we're looking now at who you are serving again, right? We talked about their age and their income, but this is really, what they're dealing with and why they consider you as a chair, a team to help them. They're dealing with people challenges, employees, vendors. All these are challenges. The complexity overload is huge, right? Technology, legislation, all these things are really tough. And maybe the toughest one of all is blind spots. We don't even recognize the things that are preventing us from moving forward. That's why we need people around us that can speak to us the truth with grace. Every CEO is charged with profitable growth. We have to grow the business. And I think it's a biblical mandate, right, into the parable of the talents, right, that God gives us these things. They should be growing and be healthy. And I think the question of faith integration is very relevant. You will be held accountable one day when you stand before the judgment seat of Christ, Mr. Business Owner. Same for you, Mr. Chair Candidate. And God's going to say, what did you do with the talents that I gave you? And so we want to be found faithful as a Convene community, that you would help me, that I would help you hear those words we yearn for, which is well done. So these are these questions we're addressing. The chair, primarily a coach, the other pieces. Convene, a resource, a tool to help you do it, whether it's doing the forum day, bringing in speakers, delivering content, which always leads to this question, I think I want to do this, and then there's this moment of truth. Well, how do I get a team up and going? And certainly this is the toughest part of this reality. And we spend a lot of time here. We are certainly committed organizationally to being an active participant in your marketing, that we do this regularly. It's not easy, and yet it is doable. The target is usually 120 to 180 days from orientation, where we come to a conclusion that we're a good fit, and we put a stake in the ground, and let's go start a team. So our target is to do that in 6 months. It means needing to have 50 conversations with qualified member candidates. That's on the phone. 30 face-to-face meetings with those individuals. 20 selection interviews where you're able to showcase the value proposition, and that will lead to 8 members. So that's what we do. So group startup, I did mention it, there is a time and money reality, just as it is for the member candidates. The time investment I spoke of, which is, it's about half a day a month, half a day for 6 months. There's a budget. It'll cost you between $5,000 and $15,000. $10,000 is a good number to aim at. 5 would be small, 15 would be high. We share in buying too many eggs. My opportunity to travel around the world and introduce the idea to member candidates using LinkedIn, using email marketing, using different tools. And there is a way for you to recapture a fair amount of your hard costs. We call it the Right Start bonus. It's a time-sensitive opportunity that if you run after it and do the work and get the members, you can recapture the majority of your investment. So I do want to go back to the business model. The business model is an independent contractor licensee relationship where you're licensing through us. We collect the dollars, we share them with you. You'll make $60,000 to $120,000 for each group. If you have a small group, it's a hobby. A medium group would be 10 or 12 is 60, 70,000. A large group, 15, will give you 100 plus. So we love the model of run that for 2 groups, 16 days a month, make a solid income, love on a whole bunch of folks. So you're leaning into the facilitated process, you're doing the one-to-ones, and Convene, what we provide is best business practice training, the Speakers Bureau, devotions, materials, administrative help, chair development, which is huge. But that piece in the middle is for sure the place that we have a strong commitment with you to help you on marketing. We can't do it for you, but we could do it with you. So we have people on the phones that are making appointments. We have teams that are sending out emails, that are doing the work on LinkedIn and Facebook to help surface people in your geographic region in order to be successful at that. So that's our business model, independent contractor. That's what it looks like for 2 groups. And as I mentioned before, I think what we're seeing today is more of a 1 group and 1 coaching practice. So interesting questions again on what's going to work for you. This is certainly the outgrowth of when you meet a member candidate, a fair percentage of them will say, I will never join your group, but I like you. You seem very insightful to me. So being able to have the pivot point to say, well, fine, why didn't I release you from the idea of being on the team? And why didn't I serve you in a coaching relationship is something we're just seeing so much momentum towards. So again, if that fits you, this is that key question. Is it the right target market for you to serve? And then has God gifted you with the talents to do this kind of work? We could be a really good team together. So is this for you? So it starts with kind of the chemistry, posture, I call it scar tissue. Do you have the scar tissue that makes you relatable to CEOs that are in the seat so that you can get their attention? Have a conversation. Will you ask the tough questions? Will you move into implication questions, questions that really ask, what if you don't move into this opportunity now? Might you lose it? Or what if you don't take care of this problem now? Might it get really large? So then you have to examine, do you have the business acumen? We can do this together, the spiritual maturity. Are you financially positioned? Do you have the time available? These are the questions that we could certainly engage with together. So is Convene right for you? Has God prepared you to speak truth into the lives of our target market? This is the glory of what we do, right? Which is that moment of speaking truth with grace. Truth isn't always pretty. We're a very pretty-centric culture. Truth is something a whole lot more attractive. It's something that can be said well and done with grace that helps people change. Can you be effective as a business mentor? You don't have to have the solutions but you do need to help them understand what the question is. The solutions come from the members. This is probably the most challenging part for many chair candidates, that they feel like they have to provide all the answers, and that is stinking thinking. That's not who we are. We are about being with the member and helping them recognize what the most important challenge is, and then bringing that challenge to the team, or helping them surface their own personal solutions, because they usually know their business a whole lot better than we ever will. Can you lean into challenges? Is this a role you would thirst for? Are you called to it? I always want to encourage people to think about the target market, how we do our work, and ask God, is this what you should do? And then that's always that question of pray, listen, and obey. So has God prepared you to mentor Christian CEOs? Is it going to be right for you? If it is, I'd love to invite you into the Convene process. It looks like this. Starts with this overview, and then a couple of phone conversations with me, an application. There's certainly a profile test, which is fun. A couple interviews. Love to get you to visit a forum day. There's three main kind of doorways to walk through. The first doorway is, does it make sense for you to come to chair orientation? At the end of chair orientation, we would make a decision together whether we should go forward. So the first door is, should you come to chair orientation? The second doorway is, do we both believe it's a good fit? Statistically, 75% of the people that come to orientation are a good fit. I think 25% there's a shared conclusion that I guess not. Limited skin in the game at that time. You do have to pay to get to orientation with an airplane ticket and a room, but there's no major dollars. The next doorway would be, after you're accepted, if you're one of the 75 that goes forward, is when will you fund the marketing, and we do that together. And then hopefully you launch Group 1 and launch Group 2. So this is what we call the chair overview. I certainly would like to answer any questions I can. I certainly encourage you into quiet time with God. One of those big questions is, can we help you ignite your platform of influence? So at the bottom is that smiling Mark Ottestead face and a phone. That's all a hot link for you. The hot link is that you can get on my calendar right now and schedule a call with me. I'd love to engage with you in the conversation. I would like to bless you. I have lots of connections in the marketplace. If I can help you in any way, I certainly want to do that. So thank you so much for spending the time. If you have just a couple of extra minutes, the next moment you can watch a video that was produced for us that kind of talks about CEOs needing help. So thank you so much for spending the time. I pray a blessing on you. And once again, click that button and have a great day, and God bless.
How you doing? I'm the owner of a growing company, and I'd like to start this presentation by freely admitting that there is one particular, nigh unspeakable four-letter word that I tend to shy away from. The heinous yet humbling H word, spoken millions of times daily by our fellow humans, but often conspicuously absent from the CEO's vernacular. One word that can, if selflessly administered, realign our purposes, reignite our passions, and ultimately improve and enhance the very world around us. In short, it's a pretty potent predicate possessing powerful potential, if properly proposed, that is. It's that little big word we call help. Yeah, there it is. It comes out of nowhere sometimes, and it's hard to ask for sometimes, but if we're honest, it's something we all need. And just as importantly, it's something we all need to give. And as authentic believers seeking to serve the Almighty with all we got, we certainly need His help. Because, let's face it, we have big titles and big jobs, and it's a pretty big deal that brings with it big responsibilities that lead to big questions. Which means we also need help from His people, whom, among other things, can help us answer the everyday practical questions like, for instance, how do we handle 5, 10, 100, 1,000 employees looking to us to grow the company so they can continue to provide for their families? I mean, how do we manage the stress, the ups, the downs, the team, the money, the clients, the clowns? I mean, what about loneliness, fear, anxiety, and ROI? I mean, how do we deal with all that and keep the log out of our own eyes? I mean, honestly, people, how do we cope? Hold the rope, do what we do, baby, and rope-a-dope just to stay in the fight. It's a load to lift, people. Load to lift. And deep down, we know we'll never truly thrive personally, spiritually, or corporately. Alone. Up here. And this, my A-Student A-Type amigos, is exactly why we need to know about Convene. There it is. Look at it. Its very meaning is cleverly wrapped up in the word itself, declaring, no, dare I say, promulgating the simple yet brilliant idea that we all simply need to meet together with other imaginative, business-savvy, company-growing, team-building leaders to help everyone focus on business? Absolutely. But it's also a faithful brain trust, if you will, a meticulous mind meld manufacturing monumental moments more meaningful than mere mortals can imagine. Sometimes mano a mano and sometimes in teams, but always with the intent to give you more time, help you make better decisions faster, create pivot points toward freedom, and put us in real-world conversations with other like-minded people seeking an eternal impact. Boom! There it is. You see, Convene members and leaders understand us because they are us, and they know what it takes to be industry-leading performers with a purpose. Now, with all that said, my fellow ambassadors of gospel-centered entrepreneurship, Convene is not here to merely help you survive the business world. No. It's here to help you thrive so that you can reach your God-given potential in every area of your life. This is the kind of help we're talking about. You know, the kind that changes the world. It's time to convene.